Alright, so we're just going to dive into this. And to start with, we're going to use our large popsicle sticks that can be bought from the Dollar Tree. We're going to cut them at 2 inches tall. I'm just using the grid below me to just rough it. Next, I have a piece of my EVA foam. It's roughly a ½ inch thick that I cut into a long strip. The strip is 8 inches. And then just trim accordingly to what you need. However, it's really not important how long you keep it. So at this stage, I'm just pinning some stonework that I want to carve out later. So I make sure I have my stones and they match my door before I attach those. And next I'm going to come up with a door design. This is just me kind of spitballing an idea on the actual door. I'm kind of liking the idea, so I kind of go with it. And I apologize, the light is so bright, it's really hard to see this. But basically I have a door handle, I have a window for so you can see through the other side of the door, and then I have slats. And what I did was I pinned all that out, and then I have this woodworking tool that leatherworking tool. And basically it's like a blade that's not razor sharp. It's just kind of got a V to it, that way you could get really good angles. And then I went back with a small ball tipped tool. And then next I'm going to work on the actual bar for around the window. I wanted it to be kind of raised. And at first you see me here, I was creating a template for it. And then I realized that it needed to be double thick. So I basically just folded the window over, glued it together, or will glue it together after this, and made sure I just cut that center piece out. That way when it's all said and done, I'll have a see-through window in my door. So next I went and took an X-Acto knife, and then slowly and meticulously and methodically and all the other E words, and cut this out. That was a pain in the butt. My X-Acto knife is really dull. However, this is what it'll kind of look like in the end. So I have my door that is see-through. I'll have the framework for the iron bars that are going to go into it, and for the iron bars we're going to use this toothpick, and I basically just cut it in half, and that's going to leave you with a flat side and a round side. You're going to want the round side facing you, the flat side facing away. I was trying to show you the light on my light is so bright that it kind of washes everything out. However, there's a flat side and a round side. I glued it together, let that dry. Next I'm going to work on the hinges. I'm going to follow the same idea that I used for the window frame for the bars. However, I'm only going to go 1 thick for these. And I just folded a long piece of cardstock in half because I wanted the hinges to be the same thing. So I had cut it out, and then here you saw that my hinges was too long. So what I did was I went back, trimmed it out, and then used my X-Acto knife to cut out a more simple kind of pattern. It wasn't perfect. I wanted to get fancy with it, but I just couldn't do it with the detail and the tools that I had. So I just have 2 kind of standard generic little hinges right there. They're gonna go to the very end of my window, so it'll stop right before my door handle, or where my door handle will be. And you see that one hinge on the bottom of the door, it's up a little too high, so in a second I'm gonna lower that a little bit more. It just looked kind of wonky. Alright, so there we have it so far. There is our wooden door with the hinges, the slats, and the iron bars put in. Now we're going to put our window frame around our iron bars. Attach that. You could use hot glue here. It would be more instantaneous, and it wouldn't be so likely to peel off when you go to paint and wash this later. However, hot glue will leave the it'll leave a residual effect. Like it's thicker in one part that it dries, or thinner in one part, or you could have wisps. So I was just trying to avoid all that. So I put something heavy on it, and then decided to put my coffee on it, and then regretted it because I couldn't drink my coffee. However, here is our little door, finally to the next stage. Again, I'm sorry about the lighting. Hopefully when I render this it'll come out a little more clean. Next, one of my favorite scraps to use, the inside spring of a pen. And basically I'm going to just clip off one end of it, and then the next rung I'm just going to clip one more slat. That way I have a perfect ring. And it's going to be, an angled at the moment because it was a spring. However, just use your needle nose and straighten them back out, and you should have a perfectly round ring with a small tiny little gap. Voila. Now, to use for the handle, I'm actually going to use these glass beads. These are also found at the Dollar Tree. I don't remember how many comes in it, but I want to say it's like 1,000 or something like that for $1. They vary in color and sizes. I went with the smallest one I had and basically just looped it inside that ring. And then now once that bead is within that ring, I'm going to push those sides closed. That way the ring should be closed. I'll have that little bead floating freeform in there. However, I'm going to super glue where the rings meet, and that's where I'm going to put the glass bead. So the glass bead will end up covering where we cut our ring. And I'm sorry, it looks like I have this off screen, but you will be able to see it in a second. So there you go, I'm slipping it back on. Yeah, there we go, PJ, show them the palm of your hand. Okay, so little bit of, and I'm using gel, I'm not using the actual regular super glue just because I needed it to be thick. I usually use the gel just for that purpose, that it has a little bit more dry time, so I could kind of manipulate it a little more. But anyway, so that's me just getting it situated over both sides of that ring. Once that's done, we're going to super glue this to the actual door. So the door handle is already marked from the picture that I drew, and I'm just going to take it and I'm going to glue it at an angle because I want it kind of sticking off the door some. I want it to look, accessible, three-dimensional. So I'm going to glue it slightly off where the handle is sticking out, but still at a downward angle. Alright, so now I am applying some glue so I could put the bolts on the hinges. And these are also these little glass beads that you get from the Dollar Tree, the same thing I used for the door handle. Man, this is very aggravating, and I'm hoping this white will kind of wash out on render. I've been having some equipment problems as of late. I blame it on DM Scotty because his crashed, and then it seemed like 2 days after that mine decided to go kaput, and the actual lens on my camera will no longer focus at certain angles or certain distances. So I'm trying to work within those parameters. Alright, so next we're going to attach the top of the door to the foam, and I'm basically just making sure that that top piece is centered before I go any further. Once I have my foam all centered, I'm just going to spot glue it on the back, just kind of tack it in place. But I want to make sure I have even amount of foam on both sides of the door, because it's basically stone, or that's what we're going to say it is. Alright, so there I am cutting off the hot glue that kind of spilled over on the front. And then I'm going to go back and score all of my pen marks that I used where I decided the stones were going to go. And we're just going to score them. Really simple. You don't have to go deep, because once we start applying our heat gun to this, it'll spread those exponentially depending on high or low heat. We're going to use low heat because it's a much slower process of that foam expanding, and we don't want to get too careless and it kind of fall apart on us. So again, my X-Acto knife was pretty dull. I had to break out my utility knife and go back over a few of these cuts. I really needed to go to the store and get some more blades. Yeah, make sure we score the side, that way it looks complete. There we go. Oh look, a real rate. That's how it cuts. Oh, look at that. It's not just cut on well wishes. Gotcha. Alright, here we are applying our heat. Again, we're doing the low setting. We want it to expand slowly, and we want to stop anything before it starts spreading further than we wish. Alright, next we're going to apply our coffee weight, because it is now cold. And we're going to cut out our base. We're going to follow the same pattern as the rest of our dungeon and create a 2 inches wide base. We're going to attach it with hot glue. I almost said 2 feet. And I'm just going to go ahead and apply some texture to the base of this, and I'm going to use this, what is this? This heavy rock kind of sand from the Dollar Tree. It's a little coarser than I like, but I wanted to use something that could be accessible to most people. However, ideally, you'd want to use actual dirt right there that I use a lot on my basing, and it works fantastic. It looks real, and everyone, no matter where you are, has real dirt outside. However, it's really cold here right now and everything is wet, so I couldn't use that. Alright, so next I am just going to paint, as you can see. I'm keeping it with my earth tones of brown and cream to match my campaign. After my initial coats, I'm going to go back and apply a dark brown. And the dark brown is going to be for my door, mostly, but I am going to hit a few of the stones just to kind of blend it. Applying a few of the other colors mixed with the dark brown just to give all my stones a different little feel and color to them. And after this is complete, I went back and went over all of my black objects, and I used a toothpick to get all the fine details because I do not have really good painting brushes. Next, I am applying a black wash, and I am going to actually go back with a napkin and hit and clean off some of the top surfaces that I didn't want the wash to remain on. I got a little too much black wash on my door, so I had to go back with a Q-tip, like a wet Q-tip, and just kind of lightly pull some of the black off, as you can see me right there. However, just keep in mind that the more times you put water on this door, as in like a wash or removing some of the stuff with a Q-tip, anything water-based, so your PVA glues will loosen up. So just be very careful. I had one of my hinges come off, so I had to reapply it during this process before you see me doing this. So the more water equals bad for glue. So just kind of limit that. And there is our finished door. I haven't decided on what color I'm going to paint the base yet because I don't know if I should finish one side and leave it so it's outside and the inside more of a dungeon appearance, but I'll address that later. So thank y'all for watching. Make sure you click that like button, it helps out a lot. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you next craft.